Today, we are returning to Big Nik, who has an incredible discovery for us indeed. Big Nik has a video called Noah's Ark just discovered in the mountains of Turkey. This changes everything. So let's watch this video and find out if the Ark has been discovered and if it changes everything.
They literally found Noah's Ark. I don't know how you could be an atheist at this point. I also don't know how I was an atheist for as long as I was. But praise God because I'm no longer ignorant and now I know God is real. What is
Okay, so that's a lot of words you could say in that specific order. So Big Nik has recently added it to his story that he used to be an atheist. Early on, he didn't say that, but now he started saying that. Um, Yeah, now he's not ignorant, though, thankfully. Thankfully, he is not ignorant enough to be one of us. He's just ignorant enough to think that Noah's flood really happened. So let's continue.
is going on, guys? It's Big Nik back for another video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel today. Before we
Oh, Big Nik, how could we miss out on those beautiful eyes?
get into this video, if you guys like Christian content, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel down below if you are new, and turn on my post notifications so you never miss a new video. Without
And if you hate Christian content, do those things here.
further ado, let's get into it. The remains of Noah's Ark were just discovered in the mountains of Turkey, and the archaeological evidence is shocking. The Bible continues to validate itself as knowledge in this hour is increasing. In Genesis 8:4, the location of this ark was specified to have rested on the mountains of Ararat. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. As archaeologists stumbled across this location, they noticed
Is that how you say that? Ararat? I don't know. I'm Southern. We can't pronounce shit. But also, I just want to add here, like, just take a second because Big Nik is apparently from a Hindu family. As far as I'm aware, his parents were Hindu, and so he never really got the full range of like Christian fundamentalist mythos that many of us got, having Christian fundamentalist parents. I was always an atheist, but I do have fundamentalist parents, and so I got the full like everything. And if you've been in a fundamentalist area, you've probably heard this Noah's Ark thing since you were a kid. Like, I mean, the Christians have been discussing this for. I remember like 20 something years ago, I was at my uncle's house and he was doing like some trivia questions and he asked like the resting place of Noah's Ark. Of course, it's in the Bible, so I knew it and I got some points. But the point being, this is not new information. And in fact, they've been taking pictures of this supposed ark for what, like 70 years now? But it's not up there. It's not. But of course, this is new information to Big Nik. He was ignorant. Now he's ignorant in a brand new way. So good job, Big Nik.
a massive geological formation that resembled a
Bro, that's a rock.
gigantic boat. As they measured this boat-shaped formation, the length was exactly the same as how the ark is described in the Bible. God tells
Okay, first of all, citation needed. Second of all, so what? I mean, rocks can be the same size as a Noah's Ark or whatever. It's still a rock. Like, I mean, there's plenty of things out there that are probably about approximately the same size as Noah's Ark. So,
Noah in Genesis 6:15, and this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. 300 cubits in today's measurement is converted to 515 feet, which was the recorded length of the boat formation found by these archaeologists.
isn't there some dispute over what cubit means in like modern terms? I think isn't there some dispute over that? Somebody tell me in the comments. Somebody knows better than me.
Researchers also used 3D scans of GPR and ERT technology on the site and stumbled across a man-made boat structure underneath the ground, with the formations of the dimensions matching the exact description of Noah's Ark in the book of Genesis. The
Bro, I hate to tell you, that don't look like a boat.
evidence was so overwhelming that the lead scientist, Dr. Fethi Ahmet Yaskol of the Department of Geophysical Engineering at Istanbul University, was convinced that this was indeed the historical ark mentioned in the Bible and went to the location to see the site for himself. Researchers also uncovered fossilized artifacts from the ark, such as rivet and petrified deck timber, which is consistent with the type of materials boats were assembled with back in the ancient times.
Now, so Christians claim they discover these things all the time on Mount Ararat, and every time they do claim to discover these things are shown to be either complete fakes or, alternatively, not what Christians think they are. Like they'll assume, this must be, weights, the kind of weights to keep the boat afloat in a certain way. Nope. It's just it's misidentification. It's wishful thinking, is what it is. It's wishful thinking. Like they see a thing that looks like a boat, and they're like, ah, that must be a boat. They take scans, and the scans look really cool, and they're like, ah, well, that proves it. It's a boat. They find some metal up there, and they're like, ah, this must be the anchor. Like, they do this stuff. But every time they do this stuff, they're proven wrong. And again, this is nothing new. Like, to Big Nik, it is. And obviously, some people are going to go up there and be like, ah, that's it. Even probably some more scientific types, if they are especially religious, like somebody from the University of Istanbul. But I'm not even convinced that what he's saying is true, as far as this person from the University of Istanbul being convinced. I'm not convinced that that person is convinced. But even if he is, plenty of scientists have checked this stuff and been like, no way. We know that Noah's flood didn't happen. There is not a shred of proof for it. And even if it had happened, Big Nik would still have a problem. I mean, first of all, let's say that the global flood happened and it proved that God is real. Okay, which one? Which God? Because there's three different ones under the Abrahamic banner. Should I believe in the God of Judaism, which originated the story? Or should I believe in Big Nik's God, the one with Jesus? Or should I believe in Allah? Now, I just want to say for all the nerds out there who are about to say, well, Allah just means God in Arabic. That is true. But in this case, I'm referring to the Islamic God as being distinct from the Christian God and the Jewish God. Okay? So let's not split hairs too much. Or, I mean, technically, couldn't you say that this story proves the Epic of Gilgamesh? So should I go back to those gods? Which gods should I believe in were this story true? And another thing I want to say is, let's say there really was a gigantic ark up there. Now, who's to say somebody didn't literally take one up there or build one up there? Now, why would they do this? I don't know. But who's to say they didn't? Regardless of how unlikely that would sound, that's still a lot more likely than a global flood. Just saying.
Ron Wyatt, who's a Christian archaeologist, did further research on this event and
Christian archaeologist, there's your key words. I mean, you can't, there's bias here when you're talking about Muslims and Christians and I guess especially religious Jews going up this mountain. There's going to be some bias here. That's a pretty big issue.
captured this footage with a drone to give us a deeper look into the evidence. Check out this video.
Here we are at last, gazing upon the mortal remains of the great boat that Noah and his family...
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt this much, but this shit really bothers me. So, and answers in Genesis seem to imply that Noah's Ark would have been more cube-based. Like, they have their little, cool-looking ark encounter, but I think even they say that the ark would have been more like a cube structure, right? This does not look like that. This does look kind of like a boat, but this is called pareidolia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but pareidolia. It's when you see faces in things. I'm sure everybody knows how that goes. You look at the front of a car, you see a face in it, that sort of thing. Pareidolia. It's making patterns where there are none.
Road to safety. Now notice this portion that sticks out here.
Bro, that is not wood. That is not wood. That is obviously, well, it looks like mud. It doesn't even look like rock. It looks like a... And that would track with some of what I read about it, which is that this is like some kind of uplifting of mud. I mean, look, okay, so just check this out. I mean, it's really hard to see right now on the screen, but look up here. Look at how it looks like the arc is jutting upwards from this, trench. It literally looks like this was a hardened deposit of mud that somehow, I don't know how, I'm not an expert at this sort of thing, ended up uplifted and, like that. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, it literally looks like it lifted up off the ground. Now, I assume that there are features of, I guess, glaciers and those sorts of things that could do that. Am I saying that is for sure what it is? No. But one thing I am saying with complete 100% certainty is that is not an ark. That is not a boat.
When the boat came down from above and caught upon those rocks right there that you see in the middle.
What do you mean caught up on those rocks you see there in the middle? Do you mean as the ark was landing, a big set of rocks just jutted up through it? What are you saying, dude?
That tore its way into the heart of the boat, and it pulled the timbers out from under this part of the gunwale. And it, of course, fell out farther than the rest. But this
You lying fuck. These dudes will make up anything to prove their non-existent point.
has rib timbers and metal brackets and everything in it to show that it's still a part of the boat.
This is so ridiculous. Big Nik, why do you do this to me?
Now you'll notice a hole way at the right top corner. This is where...
How many animals died when that big rock jutted through it? Because that is an enormous rock, my dude. Like, that's going to leave some damage. You know, if there were some elephants there, they didn't make it.
A group that came out here in 1960, they blew holes in the boat with dynamite, and then went away and said that it was not a boat.
Correct. But also, notice, 1960. People have been going up there and messing with this thing since 1960 at least. I mean, 1960 is just when they decided to bring up dynamite and have some fun, which is a very odd decision. But, you know, see, what there was an archaeologist who, like, didn't he destroy a lot of, like, Troy, the famous city, with dynamite? Or was it Carthage? Well, either way, that has apparently been a pretty common practice. I know there were some pyramids out in the desert of, what, Ethiopia, perhaps, that were also destroyed with dynamite by people looking for gold. Anyway, let me just want to say for a second, 1960. Okay, the title says, just discovered. Big Nik, why are you telling lies? Big Nik's Tall Tales, man. That's what this channel should be named.
All that is, except for Arthur Brandenburger, the photogrammetry expert who went away saying it is a boat. Now this...
Was he a boat expert? I mean, I don't get it, man.
This area right in front of you here is a site where the 1960 expedition blew a hole with the dynamite. And right in the middle of this is a cast of a rib timber. These gentlemen...
What are you talking about? Literally, this is not even... This is something like beyond pareidolia, because there is nothing there. There's nothing there. Look, there's nothing there.
Unexpected to find a whole lot more out here than just this very disappointing remains. Where the stone that you see in the middle came through the boat under the railing and smashed it in, and as the boat decayed, the railing and all of this dropped down over this. But
speaking of decay, I mean, even if there had been a boat up there today, you know, thousands of years later, there would be no sign that there was a boat ever, actually. And these people don't seem to understand how weathering works. Granted, I don't understand it very well either, but I understand it well enough to know if there ever had been a boat up there, there would not be any trace of it now. Not a single trace, but of course, wishful thinking. It'll move mountains.
Along these lines are the metal indicators of the remains of the rib timbers. Again, there's way more than enough evidence to show that this is a boat. And we're giving...
No, there isn't, my guy. You haven't shown anything. You haven't shown anything. This is nothing.
When you look at the front portion of the boat, for you...
Listening to dudes like this makes me think I'm taking crazy pills or something, but it has to be him. But, like, it's just, you know, they're like, well, look at that. Look at this boat feature. And it's like, what boat feature? That's dirt. What are you talking about?
That have been on a boat, you can't fail to recognize this. Now, as time has gone by, this area of the boat that you're looking at right now has fallen. It's gradually sinking and will slip out into the gully below. While there's enough timbers...
I don't see any timbers. What timbers? What timbers are you talking about? That's mud. That's dirt and some rocks. That's not what timbers.
In this gun wall to support that, the bottom is falling right out from under it. You'll notice these are two deck timbers that are sticking out, and we got a iron.
No, that's not anything. There's nothing there. I would also like to know, how does all of that dirt get on top of the ark? That's a good question. So, this is Noah's Ark, everybody, and there's a lot of dirt on top of it. How did that happen exactly?
Bracket off of this, a right-angled iron bracket. Now we're uncertain as to whether these are cast or petrified timbers, but they are at equal intervals, and right opposite them on the other wall are their counterparts. We'll focus in on 4 of the rib timbers.
Look, man, I know Big Nik just wants to make some big dollars, but like, I really do think he probably believes this shit. Like, the guy has no critical thinking faculties left whatsoever. If he ever had any, all the weed smoking led to like schizophrenia. I hate to diagnose. It's not really a diagnosis. He is clearly psychotic, let's be honest. So all the weed smoking led to psychosis and just the evaporation of his critical faculties. His brain has been replaced by the algorithms at this point. I really do think he believes stuff like this. Does he want to make money? Well, yes, we all want to make money. Is he grifting a little bit? Well, of course, we all are at this point, right? But I really do think he believes this stuff. I really do.
This area was fractured during the earthquake. We measured the casts that were left,
With how many earthquakes happen all the time in Turkey and Armenia, that area, wouldn't it have been just like completely destroyed by now anyway if there had been a boat there for like 4,000 years? And just think of all like the crazy things that have happened on this mountain in the last like 4,000 years. There wouldn't be anything left, even if there had been. But of course, again, there was not.
have the dimensions on it, but you can see where the softer material inside the cast eroded down. And with this, we leave the boat.
God's word continues to prove itself true, and as more evidence comes out that the Bible is a historical book with verifiable events, it further advances the case that Jesus Christ is real. If you have
Well, no, it doesn't, Big Nik. No, because that stuff is not happening. Do you know how long they've been looking for the fallen walls of Jericho and Sodom and Gomorrah, and how long they've been like looking for evidence that the Jews were ever in Egypt or wandering around the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years? Okay, I should qualify one thing. There were Jews in Egypt. There were not Jews as slaves en masse in Egypt. That never happened. You know how long Christian archaeologists and regular ones have been looking for proof of anything like that? It's been a long time. You know how much proof they've found of that? None. Because there's a lot of things that didn't happen. I mean, the Tower of Babel probably never happened. There was some kind of like ziggurat in Babel that was like never finished that I guess the story could have been based on, but no Tower of Babel ever happened. There was no mixing up of languages, nothing like that. Abraham never existed. Moses never existed. Probably was really based on an actual person of some kind, but never existed as we think of him. The global flood never happened. No evidence. The Adam and Eve thing, no evidence. Garden of Eden, no evidence. There's just so many things that people have been searching for and searching for and searching for, but which we have no evidence whatsoever for. Now, some of those things, of course, could still turn out to be true. I mean, the Sodom and Gomorrah thing, for example. I don't think it's entirely unreasonable that somebody witnessed a couple cities being destroyed by, let's say, the strike of a small asteroid or something like that, or comet fragment or something. Now, is that likely? Well, no. Could it have happened and been a cultural memory that was shared as the Sodom and Gomorrah story? Well, yes, it could have happened. Again, do I think so? Well, no, but that is one possibility. But yeah, just because the Bible has some true things in it doesn't make it truth. The works of Homer, they have a lot of real things in them that people like for a long time didn't believe were actually real until we started like discovering them. Does that make everything in them true? Well, no, it doesn't. Um, Likewise, I mean, there's very few people actually saying that there was no historical Jesus, but there was no Jesus the miracle worker who came back from the dead to absolve you of your sins. That never happened. So let's keep going.
Haven't given your life to Jesus Christ yet, use this as a wake-up call to fully surrender to God, because your eternal soul
Don't do that.
is extremely valuable. Heaven and hell are real spiritual dimensions, and Jesus Christ gave us a way to inherit heaven through his sacrifice on the cross.
Suppose you were walking by my house one day. You've been walking by for a long time. And I were to go up on the porch and say, hey, stop, I've got some good news. Good news for you people. Stop, stop, stop. You don't have to go down in my basement. This is great news. You've been walking by all this time. You've been ignoring me, and I deserve to be recognized and honored. And you've been ignoring me, and it's made me so angry and so mad that I just get so horribly mad. So I built this torture chamber down in the basement. And there's some hooks down there, and there's some sharp things, and there's some vats of sneaky stuff, and there's a furnace, and there's some chains, and it's horrible, and there's flames. But you don't have to go down there. I sent my son down there. And it was gruesome. I tell you, it was really horrible. But that satisfied my anger. And now his blood was shed, and now you're free. You don't have to go down. All you have to do, come on up here. Just come up and tell my son that you love him, and hug him, and then you can move in with us. We'll live up in the attic, and you can tell me how great I am. You can just tell me how much you love me, and we'll do that. Won't that be great? So would you keep walking?
I need me a Noah in my life because I'm trying to get a house soon. I'm here in my apartment right now, and I'm trying to have somebody build me a mansion, bruh, for free, hopefully. You think Noah would build it for free? You think he'd charge me? I don't know. We're all in God's kingdom, right? I'm sure he'd just hook it up.
Wiser words have never been spoken, my friend.